The people have spoken. And yes, we did a poll here. The polls do matter in this channel, and everyone, not everyone, but Premier League won. They picked it, so we're going to do Premier League Plus. It's my favorite league anyway. Even though the national team is overhyped, I don't think the league is overhyped. I think it's a great league. The best league. Last season, Manchester City dominated the league and won, but this year it's looking more balanced. So this is how it's going to go. I'm going to talk about all 20 clubs. Yes, very briefly, 30 to 40 seconds each one max. And then I'm going to tell you my prediction for them. And at the end of the video, I'll put my full table. You know what you can do? You can comment your prediction. Yeah, maybe not the full table because that's a little too much, but maybe put your top 5 clubs in the bottom 5, something like that. I'm going to be doing it in alphabetical order. So hopefully you don't skip through a video. Enjoy. There's a little bit of good information on every single team. With that said, guys, hit that like button before we start the video so I don't have to ask throughout the video. Comment your predictions down below. If you want to subscribe, do the same, and hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean that much. And let's do this. Alright, let's start with the almighty Arsenal. That last season, they finished in 8th place. Good old Arsenal. 8th place was probably not what they wanted last season and definitely not what they expected, but honestly, it's where they belong for what they did last season. This team has some exciting players, but I'm looking forward to seeing how Saka will continue his development throughout the season. He's one fantastic player. Mikel Arteta continues in charge, and maybe continuity can benefit Arsenal this season. Ben White arrives from Brighton to upgrade their defense, which, to be fair, it wasn't even their main issue as they were the 3rd best defense in the league, allowing only 39 goals. They can do a lot better now that David Luiz is gone. Yes, David Luiz is gone, and that is also a major reinforcement for this team. I want to also ask everyone to keep an eye on Nuno Tavares, their newly signed left back, a very good prospect that arrives from Benfica, likely won't start but will see minutes throughout the season. Look, they had a good run at the end of last season. It seems like Arteta has figured it out. They replaced some of the players that were issues for them last season, like David Luiz, and there's no international competition to focus on. So I think they will do better than last season. I think Arsenal will finish in 5th this season. They'll do a lot better, and they'll miss the Champions League by just a little bit, but they won't make it to the Champions League. No international competition will do it better for them. Last season, they had the Europa League. So Arsenal, 5th. Okay, now Aston Villa. I'm going to try to start going quicker with this. Last season, at one point, it seemed like Aston Villa was going to overachieve, but they finished at 11, which was reasonable, and now they no longer have their best player, which is Jack Grealish. He has left. They also did sign, though, Emiliano Buendia from Norwich. He had 15 goals and 17 assists in the championship, helping Norwich get promoted. Leon Bailey is another great addition as well. Very good for long term, but he might struggle to adjust with the Premier League early on. Another big signing they had, which was just recent, they signed Danny Ings from Southampton, a player very much capable of scoring 15 or 20 plus goals in a season in the Premier League. Now look, I personally think they will actually struggle this year despite the signings, and I'm not sure Buendia's success in the Champions League will guarantee success in the EPL. Leon Bailey as well, we don't know how he'll adjust to the league. Danny Ings is a good signing, but Jack Grealish, their best player, is gone. Aston Villa will finish in 13th. A little bit worse than last season when they finished in 11th. Alright, now off to a club that just got promoted, Brentford. Newly promoted Brentford is most certainly the weakest among the 3 promoted teams. They reinforced their defense by signing Ayer from the Norwegian center back from Celtic, but besides that, there weren't much improvement in the roster. The team will rely on Ivan Toney, an English-Jamaican striker, for goals. He did score 31 goals in Championship last season, which is quite impressive. He's also eligible to play for Jamaica as well, but he hasn't committed because he wants to try his luck on the English national team. But then, I have them finishing in 20th. I have them in last place for the Premier League. I think they'll get relegated, sadly. Okay, now Brighton. So last season, Brighton finished in 16th. They didn't do too well. This team needs to score more, in my personal opinion. Outside of the 3 relegated teams in the last season, they were the 2nd worst offense. They also lost Ben White on the defensive end, which that won't help very much. They signed Mwupu, a former RB Salzburg teammate of Brendan Eriksson, to help add some quality to their midfield. Tariq Lamptey is probably the most interesting player to watch out. He usually plays as a right back or as a right wing back, and he's a fantastic young player. Watch out for him. Great prospect from England. Now look, the defense is still weak. They lost Ben White, so it's going to be even weaker than before. The offense also looks as weak as ever. So last season they finished 16th. Brighton will finish 18th this season and get relegated. Now off to Burnley. They finished in 17th last season, so let's see how they'll do this year. They barely escaped last season, relegation to be honest. They scored only 33 goals in 38 matches. They lost Ben Gibson, their center back, and replaced him with Nathan Collins from Stoke City at the Championship, which I don't think that changes anything. That's 6 for half a dozen at the end of the day. They will struggle to score, and they will also struggle to defend, in my personal opinion. I actually think Burnley will get relegated. Burnley in 19th. Now, Chelsea. That last season, they finished in 4th in the Premier League despite winning the Champions League. Chelsea comes into the season with the Champions League title, so in the completely different situation from the start of last season where there was a lot of hype around new signings. There's not that many new signings. And they have a new coach, a brilliant coach, Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel's 3-4-2-1 tactical masterclass was amazing at the second half of last season. I have very high expectations for Christian Pulisic this season as well, as long as he stays healthy. Mason Mount also looks to make a big jump this season. There have been rumors that Chelsea's looking for a center forward and they failed to sign Haaland, but it looks like Romelu Lukaku might be back to Chelsea, and that would be a fantastic signing. He would fit into Thomas Tuchel's system, playing as their center forward. You know, he would be doing the same role as Timo Werner, but he's actually able to finish and score. It will also be interesting to see how Romelu Lukaku will show in the Premier League, since he was there previously, everything he's learned in the Serie A, all the improvements he's made. So for this season, I have Chelsea as the champions of the Premier League and winning the Premier League once again. The last time they won was in 2016-2017 season. I have Chelsea finishing in 1st. They are my champions, and Christian Pulisic will lift the trophy. Okay, now Crystal Palace. That last season they finished in 14th. Last season, Crystal Palace was one of the worst defenses in the league, allowing 66 goals in 38 games. They are also heavily reliant up top on Wilfred Zaha and Benteke to get the job done. They signed 2 young promising players such as Mikel Olise, the attacking midfielder from Reading, and Mark Gihai, maybe I said it right, the 21-year-old center back that comes from Chelsea's U23. Joachim Andersen, the center back from Lyon, also arrives to try to resolve their defensive issues. They got a new coach, Patrice Vieira, who really lacks experience, if I'm going to be honest here. And well, they did attempt that a while back with the worst manager of all times, Frank de Boer, and well, it didn't go well, but hopefully it works with Patrice Vieira. I think they'll struggle this season. The defense will be shaky, the coach will not have much experience, but they won't get relegated. Crystal Palace in 16th. Now Everton. The last season they finished in 10th place. Everton most certainly underachieved last season under Carlo Ancelotti. There was a lot of excitement around with the good signings like James Rodriguez and a good start. But honestly, they just struggled at home. They couldn't win at home. Now they have Rafa Benitez, another fantastic manager, and I don't see them improving much. The wings are definitely stronger with the signings of Demarai Gray and Townsend. Richarlison needs to do better, just to be fair, and James Rodriguez has to stay healthy. I think they're going to struggle again. I personally think the league is stronger than last season. Like Wolves and Leeds might be doing even better. Rafa Benitez just arrived. He has a lot of work to do. So I have Everton finishing at 11th, one position worse than last season. Okay, let's talk about Leeds United. And last season, it was amazing. They finished in 9th place as a newly promoted team. Bielsa did it. He got Leeds to stay after returning to the Premier League after 19 years. The team can most certainly score, but they struggle to defend. They scored 62 goals last season and allowed 54. The arrival of Junior Firpo from Barcelona will help Bielsa get things done on the defensive end at his 2nd season in the Premier League. Calvin Phillips, Rafinha, and Brentford will look to once again step it up and help Leeds score. Pretty much that's what they did, and Calvin Phillips providing protection to the back line. Now look, this team could definitely use another defender, but I think they'll improve from last season and they will finish in 8th place. Now off to Leicester, one of my favorite teams in this league. And honestly, if you guys haven't already, hit that like button if you made it this far in the video. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Don't forget to hit the like button. For 2 seasons in a row, Leicester finished in 5th and missed out on the Champions League. The only issue Brendan Rodgers has ran into is depth. The current FA Cup champs signed 2 promising names this season so far. Soumare joined to strengthen the midfield after winning League One with Lille last season. But again, to me the big signing is Patson Daka that comes from RB Salzburg, one of the teammates of Brendan Eriksson. He scored 27 goals in 28 matches. Ndidi, Tielemans, James Maddison can be one heck of a midfield. Depth is looking a lot better, and hopefully Jamie Vardy can continue to be as effective, and I think he will this year. So I have Leicester, even though they're going to be also in an European competition, I have them finishing in 4th place and actually making to the Champions League. Finally, they really deserve it. Also, Chris Richards is linked to Leicester. He might go there on a loan. If that happens, another extra reason to cheer for Leicester this season. Okay, now Liverpool. And last season, Liverpool finished in 3rd place in the Premier League, and they dealt with a lot of injuries. A little bit because of Klopp's pressing system, obviously. A little bit of being unlucky, right? So Virgil van Dijk got that horrible knee injury from a tackle from Pickford when Liverpool faced Everton. They have brought in Konate, which for their defense is a huge addition along with Van Dijk being back. They also lost Wijnaldum for free for PSG, which is a major loss on their midfield. I'm looking forward to seeing how Jota will perform up top, make another big jump after he made the transfer to Wolves, and staying healthy. I'm also looking forward to see if Alisson, their goalkeeper, will score more goals than Diego Lainez this season again as he did it last season. I'm intrigued by it. I'm just very intrigued by it. So I think Liverpool's actually slowly going to have to enter rebuilding mode. Salah's getting old, Mane's getting old. They're also getting close to their 30s. A lot of their players are aging. Time to rebuild. Liverpool will finish in 6th place. Yes, worse than last season. Okay, now we've reached Manchester City. The current champs now, I believe their main focus this season will be the Champions League. Aguero has left to go to Barcelona to play with Messi, even though Messi has left. Jack Grealish arrives for a whooping $130 million. There are also rumors that Harry Kane could be arriving, which is very important considering Gabriel Jesus was not able to fulfill the shoes that they expected for Kun Aguero. They do need another world-class player in the center-forward position. Messi's also a possibility to arrive, even though Pep Guardiola completely denied it, and it seems like Lionel Messi might sign with PSG, and at the time of the recording, he might already be signed with PSG. The defense will look as solid as ever. Ruben Diaz was absolutely fantastic, and Pep Guardiola has figured it out in the back. Hopefully Pepe doesn't also overthink things too much this season. I have Manchester City finishing in 2nd, just behind Chelsea, as I picked Chelsea as the champions. Manchester City will finish in 2nd place this season. They're also still the most creative team in the Premier League, and they have the most depth for sure. Now, Manchester United, which is actually the team I cheer for if you don't know. Last season, Manchester United finished in 2nd, and they have signed Jadon Sancho and Varane at the time of this recording. There have been rumors of Declan Rice, Camavinga, but none of that is confirmed. So the team is definitely much better than last year, but look, with Ole on the wheel, expect a bumpy ride. The midfield lacks a proper ball-winning midfielder in my personal opinion, and Paul Pogba plays much better with a ball-winning midfielder, which we don't have in Manchester United right now. Donny van de Beek can't do that. Proper player would be Kanté, and we definitely see that in the French national team when Pogba plays with Kanté alongside of him. I personally think Jadon Sancho will struggle in his first season in the Premier League, and I think Manchester United, even though they got stronger and Varane will play a big role in the back, I think Manchester United will finish in 3rd, one position worse than last season, because I think Chelsea will be stronger. Now let's talk about Newcastle. Last season, Newcastle finished in 12th place. Now look, this roster is going to give Steve Bruce a lot of work, just as it did last season. The defense was horrendous last season, allowing 62 goals, and somehow they still managed to finish in 12th. Callum Wilson will be the one to provide goals at St. James Park up top. And well, they need someone to feed him, and maybe St. Maximin can do it, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing the progress of Miguel Almiron, former Atlanta United MLS player, see how he's going to do another season in the Premier League. He did okay last season, not too good, wasn't also the worst. The defense will be a problem again, but Steve Bruce will figure it out, find a way to get points, and I have Newcastle finishing in 12th. Just like last season. Now let's talk about Norwich, and they were the newly promoted team, and the Yo-Yo Award goes to Norwich, the team that went back and forth. They were relegated 2 seasons ago, they were promoted last season, they're back. Emiliano Buendia, one of their best players, he's gone. He had 15 goals, 17 assists in the Champions League, but he's now a part of Aston Villa. Rashica from Bremen arrives to help on the wing. Ben Gibson has also arrived from Burnley to help out at the center back position, and talented young midfielder from Chelsea, Billy Gilmore, arrives on a loan. Now, they also, it's not official at the time of recording, but apparently they have signed Josh Sargent, the American. That's a big signing. He could play up top for them, but he might even play on the wing. Don't be surprised if Sargent plays on the wing for Norwich. I don't know if he would start over Pukki up top, the veteran, so he probably will be a winger or a backup center forward. Now, another player to watch out for is Jamaican English Max Aarons and see how he does on the defensive end. Now look, I think they're going to struggle, but I have Norwich finishing in 17th and not getting relegated. They will stay in the Premier League. Now Southampton. The last season, they finished in 15th place. The Saints were not able to keep Danny Ings. Last season, their main weakness was the defense, allowing 68 goals, and the offense wasn't a problem, but now it might be without Danny Ings. There were no meaningful improvements on the defense. James Ward-Prowse will continue to be key, especially in set pieces. Benderak and Van Stegard will have to do better on the defense, and maybe Diallo will have to provide much more protection to their back line. They have to do better. Now, here's the thing. I think they are worse than last season, but I also think they underachieved last season. They could have been maybe 11th or 12th. So I have Southampton finishing in 14th for this season. A little bit better than last season. Okay, now let's talk about Tottenham, the Spurs. Last season, Tottenham finished in 7th place. Brian Gill from Sevilla arrives to play for their wing position and to help out with depth. Ryan Sessegson is back from loan. That's an important English prospect that can play the fullback position, and he was at Hoffenheim last season with Chris Richards. But here's the question. Harry Kane, that had 23 goals and 14 assists, is likely to leave or maybe already left on the time of this recording. So Son will have to step up. But look, just like when they sold Gareth Bale many years ago, they'll probably make a lot of money with that sale of Harry Kane and sign a lot of players. After failing with José Mourinho last season, a Portuguese manager, they have another Portuguese manager. Nuno Santo, a former Wolves coach, right? He was in the Wolves last season, Wolverhampton, will take charge of Tottenham this season, and we'll see how he will do. He's a pretty good manager, so I have good expectations for him. But look, there's a lot of question marks this season for Tottenham, and I have them finishing the same exact position as last season, 7th. Now let's talk about newly promoted Watford. Which, I mean, they just came from the championship, but in my personal opinion, they're the best out of the promoted teams. Along with being one of the best teams, they did sign Joshua King. That's a pretty good signing. Loza, a center mid for Nantes from the French league, comes in as well. Danny Rose will provide a lot of experience for the team. Sarr is most certainly the player to watch out for in Watford. If Watford does not stay in the Premier League, Sarr might stay. I'm also looking forward to the young Brazilian prospect João Pedro. After barely playing the Premier League when he arrived, last season he had 9 goals in 38 matches in the championship, and he's about to turn 20. So let's keep an eye on the promising young Brazilian from the Fluminense Academy. He's pretty much following in Richarlison's footsteps. I have Watford finishing in 15th place and not getting relegated, staying in the Premier League again. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Now it's West Ham that I'm going to talk about. Go hit the like button if you haven't already. Let's talk about West Ham. Last season, West Ham surprised many by finishing in 6th place. Can David Moyes do it again? I don't know. A very powerful attack with more than 60 goals scored and an okay defense allowing just 47 goals was what did the job. David Moyes will have a challenge to do the same results, and to be honest, 6 was an overachievement. Now, they do have Europa League this season as well, which will impact their performance on Premier League for sure. They have improved in the goalkeeper position by signing Areola, that was at Fulham last season. He's on a loan from PSG. Declan Rice and Solsek are there for the time being. They're key players. They could leave, but as of now, there's no transfer. Mikel Antonio staying healthy is also key for West Ham's success, especially with the amount of games they're going to have this season. I think they will do well, but splitting attention in 2 competitions, such as the Europa League as well, will take some points away, and they'll do worse than last season. I have West Ham finishing in 10th place, so they 6th last season, this season in 10th. Last but not least, the Wolves. You can take the Portuguese manager Nuno out of the Wolves, but you cannot take Portugal out of the Wolves, as they replaced him with another Portuguese manager, Bruno Lage. Rui Patricio has left as their goalkeeper as he headed to Roma, but no worries, they have another Portuguese in town, José Sá. Yeah, this team is just Portugal FC in the Premier League. Now, this team underachieved last season for several reasons, one of them being the injury of Raul Jimenez, but Raul Jimenez is back and healthy. Adama Traoré stayed. Ruben Neves is one heck of a midfielder, and I don't think they're going to do as bad as last season when they finished in 13th. I actually think they're going to be top 10 once again. I have the Wolves finishing in 9th place this season in the Premier League. Okay guys, that does it for the video. Now I'm going to read the full table and wrap it up for y'all. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button before you go. Comment down below your prediction for the Premier League. I'm so excited that it's back, and the USMNT Abroad series will be back as well. Let me go through the table. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day. But before I go, let me read the table. So my full table has Chelsea in 1st, Manchester City in 2nd, Manchester United in 3rd, Leicester in 4th, Arsenal in 5th, Liverpool in 6th, Tottenham in 7th, Leeds United in 8th. Wolves will finish 9th, West Ham in 10th, Everton 11th, Newcastle 12th, Aston Villa 13th, Southampton 14th, Watford 15th, Crystal Palace 16th, Norwich 17th, and the 3 relegated teams are Brighton in 18th, Burnley at 19th, and Brentford at 20th. Thank you for watching, everyone, and have a great day.